Hey guys, it's Cosmo the Coder here, and welcome to another of my Humble Bundle reviews. This week we're going to review, or at least look at, two different bundles. First up, we've got a bundle called the Humble Lifehacker Software bundle, which rather than actually be sort of a bundle of games, is actually a bundle of applications which help sort of your productivity and possibly the way you organize your computer. So as it's not really a sort of a gaming bundle, I mean, I'm going to have a quick look at it and give sort of thought about it, general sort of thought about it, and what I feel and everything about the bundle. The other bundle is the Humble Day of the Devs 2016 bundle, which the picture jumped the gun a bit, but so to speak, which is a bundle that came out on Saturday. Now, I didn't review the bundle on Saturday due to a bereavement, or well, I'll explain what happened later on in this video, but without further ado, let's go and have a look at the actual bundle, shall we? Because that's what you're here for, isn't it? To be honest, you know. So basically, like I said, the Humble Lifehacker Software bundle is a bundle that contains a few applications that makes things maybe a bit easier, or a bit sort of allows you to do various things on your computer a bit quicker. Breevy is basically a piece of software that allows you to sort of write sort of templates, and allows you to put, when you type in certain sort of abbreviations, it'll insert them. So an example that they give is if you type the word EML, it'll put your email address in. Various other sort of things obviously it could be used, like your address, you know, a signature, so on and so forth. It could be quite useful, especially if you do a lot of word processing. I personally don't, unless I'm writing my notes for this thing, but I'm sure you can come up with uses for it if you really need to. Fences and deskscapes. Fences is basically a sort of way of organizing your desktop icons into sort of little groups and everything else like that. I personally use folders and stuff like that to do it, so I sort of automatically organize my desktop. And deskscapes apparently allows you to do various sort of cool little tricks with your PC wallpapers and screensavers by putting your own pictures and videos and stuff into it. I've seen it at work, and it's quite clever, but you know, at the end of the day, it's up to you how much you want to sort of customize your desktop and your screensavers, really. You know. Opus is essentially a sort of a file manager with a lot of sort of very nifty ways of sort of displaying details about your files, allowing you to sort them and group them, and allows you to search them and everything like that. It's basically sort of an advanced Windows Explorer, and a lot of people quite like it. It's not necessarily something I'm interested in, really. I'm not a big sort of, you know, I explore my files, sure, but it's not something that appeals to me directly. But you know, it's obviously a handy little tool. People enjoy it, and people like it for what it is. Beating the Greens here gets you three more applications. Displayfusion, which I will play the actual video and turn the sound off. It basically allows you to sort of stretch your desktop properly over multiple displays. Now, you can obviously do that already in most versions of Windows. The earlier versions, though, didn't do the taskbar, and basically that sort of made it a bit sort of difficult. The start menu was always on your primary monitor, and that was usually very useful, but also it meant that if you looked over to your other screen, the start menu wasn't there. This basically stretches the start menu, allows you to do some clever things for your desktop, and so on and so forth. The only thing I'd point out is that a lot of these features are in Windows 10. Not necessarily all of them, but quite a lot of the start menu scrolling across multiple displays is in Windows 10. Right now I've got 3 displays, and all of them have got my start menu on. You know, so this might be made a bit redundant thanks to Windows 10. There might be some other features that are useful that Windows 10 does not have, but overall, what I'd sort of warn you about is that if you have Windows 10, you may not necessarily be interested in this at all. Now, LastPass, or however you want to pronounce it, it's a quite clever piece of I was about to say software, but it's kind of it's sort of a website basically that stores all your passwords, all the passwords that you use automatically, not automatically. So also the passwords you use, and then allows you to utilize them in various different ways. So you can use them on websites quickly. It can fill in your password into various fields automatically, so you never actually have to sort of you never have to remember the passwords or log into the website and find out which password is which. It actually will fill in the form data for you. It can work across multiple devices and is quite well used by a lot of different people and companies. The sort of problem with it is that in order to get this sort of the sharing between devices thing, you have to pay for a premium sort of subscription, which this does give you for 1 year only, and for new users as well. So basically it's not something that you can use with an existing account. You can't upgrade your account using this. You basically have to register a new account and you'll get the free year. Now, I personally don't like this kind of stuff because it kind of locks you into a whole sort of system where you pay for it, you get it for a whole entire year, and then they expect you to pay. And I'm an advocate for sort of free software. You know, I understand you have to pay for things, developers need to be paid, and so on and so forth. So sort of doing this kind of stuff, you and I both know that when this year's subscription expires, they're going to expect you to either pay for it or they're going to stop you having access to it. Or they're going to do the very sneaky thing and saying, oh, you need to put your credit card in. Yes, it's free for this year, but then your credit card or whatever will be charged next year unless you cancel. Kind of like how Amazon Prime works, but it's, you know, it's personally a sort of a bit of a gripe for me, but that's just me. CyberGhost VPN is, well, it's a VPN. Enough said, really. You know, I don't have any use whatsoever for a VPN, so I don't need to worry about that kind of stuff. You might have the need for it. Again, it's a 1 year subscription, new users only. Enough said, really. Acronis is a way of taking disk images or backing up disks. Quite clever, quite useful tool, you know, to have on a good occasion. Most good, decent image tools are unfortunately paid for. This one's a subscription one, so again, same sort of thing. Not necessarily a great system, but situation, but it works. And plus, you get an antivirus, which a lot of people sort of say you have to pay for the good stuff, but I personally don't feel that way. You know, at the end of the day, an antivirus is an antivirus. Whether it's free or paid for, it still has to fight viruses. What you pay for is usually sort of additional protection, sort of firewalls or immunizations, so on and so forth. And there's a lot of free tools out there that do that. Not necessarily all in one box, but you know, and so you might have to be running 5 or 6 different sort of programs to do the same thing that one of them does. But it comes down to what your preference is. So overall, it's a nice little bundle, I suppose. But because the problem I have with it is I wouldn't use it. I wouldn't use it even half of the stuff that is there, because I don't like the subscription stuff, and most of the stuff beyond that I wouldn't really use. You know, Displayfusion is pretty pointless to me because Windows 10 does most of the stuff that this does. Yeah, so overall it's going to be down to whether you would actually use the bundle or not. Now, like I said last week, the Gems bundle it didn't indicate it was being expanded, and it hasn't been. But we're going to have a look at Day of the Devs 2016. So, although it doesn't actually say it, you basically pay what you want for 3 games. And I'll actually stick this on properly now. Hang on, there we go. If it works. Work! Oh, it's not going to work. Why aren't you working? Let's try this again. Show. There we go. Just just to give it a little bit of a reboot. Lumino City is basically is £14.99 or $19.99, and is the sequel to what I'm assuming it's called Loom, or Lum, or Lume. I don't know. Anyway, Lumino City basically is the sequel to that game that I can't pronounce, and it has a very unique sort of animation style in that the whole game itself was actually built in the real world as a model, and then sort of scanned or sort of it's somehow put into this game world. So what you're actually seeing are sort of videos and photos of an actual model, and you actually sort of travel around this model, solving puzzles and in a point-and-click adventure game. Sorry, I'm trying to read my notes and this as well. Exceptionally well received, 93% overall and 70% on Metacritic. I've always sort of said this. Some people like point-and-click adventure games. Some people really don't like point-and-click adventure games. This looks like a combination of sort of a point-and-click adventure game and a sort of platformer puzzler game. So it sort of goes a bit beyond the sort of the general sort of feeling of certain things, certain sort of adventure games. Broken Age. Now, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Broken Age can be quite controversial to some people, depending on how much you know about its history. It's currently £18.99 on Steam or $24.99 for you Americans. Again, it's a point-and-click adventure game. This time released by Double Fine, and it was famously funded on Kickstarter. And although it's sort of the star-studded cast and fantastic animation style, it's quite a well-received adventure game. But it was sort of wrapped up in controversy because of the way it was funded, and sort of the game was split into two. There's a whole sort of history about it, so check out its history on things like Wikipedia and stuff like that to understand what on earth was going on. Good reviews at the moment, 100% recently, 84% overall, and 73% on Metacritic. Now, it's worth pointing out that quite a few of the games are from Double Fine because they are actually one of the main sort of key elements of Day of the Devs 2016. So expect more in the next few tiers. However, the next game coming up is Titan Souls. Now, Titan Souls is sort of I'm trying to think of the best sort of way of explaining what it is. Let's do the price first. It's $10.99 on Steam or $14.99. It's basically an action adventure game, sort of reminiscent of the sort of the 2D sort of console adventure games, like Zelda and all that sort of thing. But basically you travel a sort of pixel graphic world and fight you using a single arrow that sort of has magical abilities, and you basically take on the various titans of this world and take the souls in the hope of restoring the titan soul or whatever it is. Good reviews, 82% recently, 80% overall, 74% on Metacritic. There is quite a fair bit of criticism about this game, that it's basically a walking simulator where you walk between boss battles and solve the odd puzzle, and some of the checkpoints aren't great. So that's just sort of a general sort of feeling I got from reading some of the actual reviews. Moving on then to the green tier. So pay more than, at the moment, $4.42, and you get 3 more games. First up is a game which I can only assume is some sort of euphemism, if I can even say that word. Massive Chalice. It's basically a sort of a tactical turn-based strategy game where, rather than sort of just deal with one hero, you play multiple ones. You basically lead a sort of kingdom or a nation, if you want to say it that, and you take command of the heroes, forge marriages, strengthen bloodlines, because basically the game takes place over 300 years. So you have to build up the heroes and their families and your entire nation to try and take on this enemy. So it's like sort of less of a strategy game that takes place over days or weeks or months or years. years, it takes it over sort of generations. So it's quite a clever sort of concept in that sort of element. No, but price wise, $14.99 on Steam, $19.99 for the US dollars. Excuse me. Not a bad game at all. From Double Fine. Oxenfree was actually a game I was considering playing, possibly for Halloween, but I just never got around to it. Another point-and-click adventure game. It's £14.99 on Steam, or $19.99. Again, like Massive Chalice. It's basically a game where you play someone called Alex, and you brought your stepbrother Jonas to an overnight island party that goes horribly wrong. It's basically a supernatural thriller about a group of friends who open a sort of weird ghostly rift, and along the way you make choices which which ultimately affects the sort of outcome of the game. It's won quite a few awards. It's got some exceptionally high reviews, 93% recently, 94% overall on Steam, 80% on Metacritic. It definitely looks like a lot of fun, and like I said, I was intending to try and play it before now, but it just has fallen by the wayside. Next up is a game that I could talk for hours about, but I won't, don't worry. It is Grim Fandango, the remastered version. Now, I owned Grim Fandango when it first came out in the yesteryear that was LucasArts. And it is one of my favourite adventure games. The remastering basically takes the old version, which was basically a sort of a pseudo 3D with tank controls, which you had to use the keyboard to play, or the joystick or whatever, and adds a sort of mouse, adds the ability to use the mouse, improves the visuals, updates the graphics, and I can honestly say the soundtrack is fantastic. You know, the overall sort of story and everything is highly original. It's definitely a game that if you love adventure games, you should know everything about it already. If you're that heavily into it, if you're new to adventure games, definitely check it out, because it's definitely a fantastic game that deserves a play. You know, I'm not going to go too much into it because then I get really nostalgic and really sort of into it. But hey, that's what it is. Finally, then, the blue tier, $9 or more, will get you two things. First up is Day of the Tentacle Remastered. Now, Day of the Tentacle holds an exceptionally important part in my life, because it was sort of the first talkie point-and-click adventure game I ever played, and it really showed me how what PC games could do compared to other sort of console games. So you're talking about a game that, whilst I was playing Sonic the Hedgehog 2, this game had come out and showed me just, you know, the sort of the animation, the graphics, the sound, the humor, the general sort of thing sort of had a big influence on my life. And, you know, back then I was like 10, 11, so it was, you know, that it was quite it's an exceptionally sort of important part of sort of my gaming history, shall we say. Currently £10.99 on Steam, or $14.99. The reviews are great, you know, 96% recently, 98% overall, and 86% on Metacritic. It has the ability, like a lot of the sort of remastering of these games, to switch between the old style graphics and the new style graphics. I can't fault this whatsoever. The director's commentary is quite interesting if you've already played the game multiple times like me. I've done a playthrough of it on my channel if you'd like to check it out. Yes, I know I'm plugging my channel. I don't like doing it, but hey. Generally speaking, it's a fantastic adventure game. You should check it out by all means, if you're into adventure games. Now, you do get a Day of the Devs VIP ticket to actually attend the event. Unfortunately, it's in San Francisco, and unless I fancy taking a 14-hour flight, I'm not going to go there. But that's why they sort of give you the ticket as a sort of a, I don't know, a sort of a bonus to the whole bundle. But they give the games a sort of a compensation if you're not able to attend. but it should be fairly interesting. It's a shame I can't go, but that's kind of the situation, and I'm pretty sure that's going to be the case for quite a few people who buy this bundle. Now, you do get some soundtracks for the games, although this bundle, although it doesn't actually mention it. You get the Grim Fandango soundtrack, which I can honestly say is one of my favourite soundtracks, especially depending on the sort of the feeling, how you're feeling at the time. You know, it's not necessarily if you're into sort of the soft jazz sort of music, that what sort of works for it. You also get the soundtrack for Massive Chalice and Broken Age, although it doesn't actually tell you that, but hey, that's it. Now, so that's pretty much my review for both of these bundles. Now, as to what I mentioned earlier about what's happened recently, I was hoping in a few weeks to basically tell you that my schedule is going to be sort of fluctuating around the April sort of area of next year, because my wife was expecting our 4th child, and as usual, babies interfere with everything and anything. As you can probably guess by the way that I'm talking in the past tense and my general sort of demeanor, this is not something that's going to happen. Sadly, my wife we lost the baby at the weekend. It was not unexpected. Unfortunately, during this sort of the lull in humble bundles during October, we had a scan and it indicated that there was a problem with the baby, and we went for further testing and determined that it had Edwards syndrome. So if you watched my video last week about the bundle, and as I have done today, I've been stumbling a lot and sort of meandering a bit, and that's mainly due to the distraction of the fear, if you will, as we only really found out the situation the Wednesday after I did the bundle last week, the video review last week. So, as you can imagine, things are pretty devastating at the moment. You could probably ask, why am I doing this bundle video? And the short answer is because, despite everything, things have to go on. I'm not streaming at the moment. I can't do it at the moment. I'm hoping to get back into it in the next few days, just to sort of try and get back into the feel for things, So I just thought that, I would share that with, first of all, the guys that are sort of regulars on my channel, and just in case you just come along for the ride and now thinking, oh gosh, poor guy. I'm not doing it for sympathy in any sort of case. It's just a case of that I'm honest. I make these videos because I enjoy making them, not because I'm trying to get views or subscribers or be famous. I know as well as most people do, the chances of me doing that, at least in the way I do my videos, is extremely unlikely. I don't have Adobe, I don't edit my videos. These videos are all done in one take. And seriously, the amount of outtakes that there are, well, if I could actually be bothered to sort of put them all together in Windows Movie Maker, then it would take a good hour of sort of various sort of flurbles and deals and blah blah blah. But all I'll say is, look, I'm okay, and I will get through this. So don't worry. Not that I expect you to be, but it isn't that. Now, I've just realised I didn't actually give a score for this bundle. I will do now, whilst I think about it. The problem for me is that I'm extremely biased. I love Day of the Tentacle. I love Grim Fandango. I haven't played Massive Chalice or Oxenfree or Luminosity. I haven't played all of them, but all of them are extremely cool games, and I definitely recommend it. So I am going to give it a 9 out of 10, just because Massive Chalice is not necessarily the game for me. It's sort of a... I'm not into turn-based very strongly, so it takes down the mark from a perfect bundle. But that's just the way I think about it. Okay. Now, and that is pretty much it, guys. So, as always, thank you for watching. As you may notice, the text says, "For you, Lily." That is the name of my daughter that died. So, just sort of put her name in a video as a sort of homage to her. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. As usual, do all the usual stuff, like and comment and subscribe for more videos like this. I forgot what I was going to say. And I will see you hopefully next week. Well, actually no, sorry, cancel that. Friday is Humble Monthly. I will try and do the Humble Monthly review on Saturday. Otherwise, I will see you next week for a new bundle, because the Gems bundle runs out next week. Or I will possibly see you guys on stream. So as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I hope you have happy gaming.